Hey guys, this is Martin and welcome to a new course. This is a shorter course than the other ones. This one is specifically around the Burp Suite Certified Practitioner exam. And what I'm trying to do here is to give you like a pathway and some tips and tricks to pass the exam successfully. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about is first I give you a little bit of an introduction and the exam format, how the exam looks like and what's expected. And then we will run through the 4 steps basically, which Port Trigger outlines, like preparation step 1, the so-called core labs, followed by more selective labs, followed by mystery labs and the practice exam. Now, what is specific in this course is basically I give you like a methodology and an approach to find vulnerabilities in the exam and beyond. And I also give you some golden tips for the exam. Now, what is very important, and I was long thinking about this, whether I run through the practice exams. I have decided not to do that. And the reason for that is because the practice exams are very, very similar to the real world exam. And it would be kind of a spoiler if I just run through them and like give you the solutions, because then you will go to the real exam and then you need to do it on your own. So that these practice exams are really geared to test your knowledge prior to the exam. So I almost see them like as a pre-exam, if that makes sense. Especially if you haven't done them, I would get prepared fully before even attempting them, right? And they basically encompassed all the vulnerabilities in all these classes we have discussed previously. So I prefer not to walk you through these practice exams because you should really take those as a final test before you actually attempt the real exam. However, what I'm going to include is I'm solving like 5 or 10 mystery labs, right? Like where we don't know where we are up against and things like that, to learn the kind of methodology I'm using, like what kind of things I'm looking for if I don't know the vulnerability class up front, right? So that's the agenda basically. And we now start with the introduction. So introduction, it's an online exam. That means you don't have to go to a Prometric or Pearson VUE or any testing site or stuff like that. You can do this all online from the leisure of your home. Okay, so you must, however, register with a third party for ID verification. And there is ID verification, there's camera verification, that you don't cheat and things like that. And they have quite a sophisticated system. You can do it from home, but you need to do it in a quiet environment. And so they really want to rule out here that you are cheating or someone else is doing the exam for you. So there will be like camera checks, there will be passport checks and whatnot, right? But everything is detailed on the Portswigger website on how to enroll in this. It's 100% hands-on. There is no multiple choice questions or no open-ended questions and stuff like that. It's all real world hacking with Burp basically. And the real exam is 4 hours long. So when you hit start, you have 4 hours. If you go and get a coffee in between, or like you need to go toilet or something, you cannot stop it. So you have 4 hours, and I really recommend to sit 4 hours in front of your machine and don't do anything else, right? Like don't run off and things like that, because you will need those 4 hours. I mean, if you solve them in 2 hours and you can submit the solution, fine, you have passed, right? But just so you're aware. And these 4 hours are basically 2 applications, and each application has 3 vulnerabilities, and we will talk about this in more detail. And you can take this pretty much at any time, right? Like, so you can take it like on a Saturday morning at 8 a.m., which I have done, for example. So it's not like Monday to Friday core hours or stuff like that. This is online, right? So you can basically do this like, I don't know, at midnight on a Sunday morning if you want to do that. And the exam cost as of March 2024 is $99 per exam. You can repeat it as often as you need to. Now, step 1, complete 1 practitioner lab from every topic. So this is Burp Suite's recommendation, or Portswigger's recommendation, to complete one practitioner lab. I say, before you attempt this, you should run at least through all the practitioner and all the apprentice labs, right? Like, even if you don't solve all of them yourself, at least run through the solutions or watch my videos in the other courses, or something like this. That's really the recommendation. Portswigger then also says, like, we have a short list. We have a short list of some core labs. And I believe those are 22 core labs. And these are really, really important ones, because those are the ones where you create impact, right? Not just firing an XSS payload or something like this, but actually exfiltrating a cookie, or blind XXE, or blind command injection, things like that, right? Like something where you really can create impact. And I included the walkthrough of all of these core labs, as Portswigger calls them. And those are, I believe it's 22 labs at the moment. So that's step number one. Step number two, there is some more selective labs which Burp or Portswigger recommends you to do. So once again, these 8 labs are heavily focused on exploitation and impact. And actually, I can confirm that, like from the real world bug bounty hunting, those are kind of labs where you show impact, right? Like, so if you found a vulnerability, and then you always think, how can I increase my impact, and how can I increase damage, so to speak, right? That's basically those 8 additional labs which you're going to go through. And once again, I have a complete video solution on how to solve them one by one, right? This is also part of this course. Now, in step 3, Portswigger says you should solve 5 mystery labs. So what are mystery labs? Well, mystery labs are basically the same labs as you already know them from Portswigger. So it's apprentice, practitioner, expert. It's exactly the same labs. So there's no new labs or anything. However, when you launch the mystery labs, you will not know which mystery lab you're going to get. So you will simply get a web application, and then you have to start finding the vulnerability. So this is it's a very, very good preparation for the real exam, right? In addition to the practice exams, because you don't know, it will not tell you like, oh yeah, here is a cross-site scripting vulnerability stored, which has angle brackets URL encoded, or angle brackets escaped, or whatever, right? Like, you will basically not get this hint. And so you really need to find it out yourself. And instead of giving you the practice exam walkthrough, which I believe would do more harm than good from a learning perspective, I will solve mystery labs with you. And so what I will be doing is I'm spinning up mystery lab, and then we don't know, you don't know, I don't know what we are up against and what we actually facing. And then just maybe be a much better approach for you to actually learn my approach to where I look, what kinds of things I test, and all these kind of things, right? So as mentioned, mystery labs are the same as the apprentice, practitioner, and expert. However, I recommend only to do mystery labs on the practitioner level. So you have a drop-down menu where you can choose from all apprentice, practitioner, expert. Only the practitioner ones really are relevant to the exam, right? And Burp says, or Portswigger says, solve 5 of those. I recommend to do 15 to 20, right? And reason for that is because this is, in my opinion, one of the best preparations for the actual exam, right? And there is the link to the mystery challenge, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Now, taking the practice exam/exams, right? So practice exam is very similar to the real exam because it's timed, right? So first of all, you don't know what you're up against. You get an application which looks very similar to the real exam, right? You will see the similarities to the normal Portswigger labs, but it's different, right? Like, so you may have more options, or like in the menu and things like that. And it's basically 2 hours long. And Portswigger recently released a second one. So now there is 2 practice exams, which makes it even better from a dry run perspective. Before you attempt the actual exam, do those 2. And if you don't pass them, don't worry, redo them. Redo them, redo them, redo them, right? As long as you're comfortable with the flow, what to look for, the kind of vulnerabilities and all these kind of things. And you can relaunch the exams as often as you need, so there's no limit. It's just spinning them up like any other Portswigger lab. Okay, that's the first introduction into the Burp Suite Certified Practitioner exam preparation, and I will see you in the next section.